as you all are outside of the Red Bazaar, again, it's that kind of like horseshoe shaped, like internal shopping center. There still is some meat that is being displayed and on sale. At this point, there's next to nothing left. Even inside, you can clearly tell these are very much like the subprime of the really nice cuts, and most of them at this point do not look all that appetizing, as these are basically the same cuts that have been out all day. Um, Walking past and into the Red Bazaar, you would notice the same of like the sub cuts that are outside as well, just in this general area. So as you all head inside, the actual din of music would kind of cross over your ears as you're walking through the Red Bazaar and heading towards the Thunderous Lizard or Thundering Lizard. But what do you guys have in mind as you are going back towards the Thundering Lizard? On some level, you all had discussed that you were going to look for Eku, and among the things that they had said to you is um, checking the actual taverns in town is a really good way to try to pick them up. You probably can understand that the Thundering Lizard is probably one of the best locations to try to find one of the guides who is trying to find work.
Yeah, so I think that would be kind of Jarek's idea as we return before we, he would probably head up to the bar, um, order another ale, um, and probably inquire of the bartender, uh, looking for Eku. She been around lately?
Roll a D100 for me.
He's not very subtle, so
You've got to be fucking kidding me. I don't know what the odds of that is, but I'm pretty sure it's 1 in 1,000 because we each rolled 68. So let me have each of you roll. Actually, no. Let me have Justin roll a d6 and Chris roll 2d6. No doubles. So let's see. Let's have Valdez roll another d6. Well, we do actually happen to have quite a few of the guides in tonight. I've seen Echo around here, but perhaps she's gone to a little bit more of the VIP side. If you take the stairs up, she'll be up and over. Maybe check near the other bar. She'll often be hanging out close by. But we do have some of the other guides, and she's going to kind of like push, or he's going to kind of push over the bar a little bit and point out towards the bottom level, um, like some of the guides that seem to be relaxing over there. Hugh Hackenstone and Musharib. And then I think I saw Azaka, and he's gonna point out Azaka is walking up the stairs where he basically pointed you to look for Eku.
my thanks. And Jarek will um, probably slide him over a few more coins. I don't know however much. Essentially, he'll pay double for his ale. Um, as kind of its and thanks for the information. And then
I have
he'll
no clue what I charged in this place, so let's just say a silver.
sounds good.
I think I did 5 copper because effectively they make it's not really an ale that they sell here. They make something else that is effectively like a fermented. Um, Honestly, it reminds me of something that the Native Indians of like South America make, where it's like fermented spit. They like chew a plant and then they ferment it, and it's actually from their saliva that the fermentation begins. I can't think of what it's called, but it's like called jalal in Faerun.
Okay. Yeah, so he would buy that, and then so yeah, so a silver for the drink, and then he'll give the guy another silver for the information, and then he'll turn back towards
Oh no,
Val.
no, I think I charged you guys 5 copper. Silver is what you would pay if you were paying double, I think.
Oh, okay, got it. And
And
then he
again,
would.
we went over this yesterday. I don't actually remember what I charged you guys, so I think I charged 5 copper.
Yeah, the extra money is more just for flavor anyway. So, um, and then yeah, that's and he would turn back towards Valdis. Could we could we go see her now, or you want to speak to some of the others?
We can go see her now. It would be better. But should probably apologize. Oh, well, me. I should apologize for missing the show. We got held up with Merchant Prince. Uh,
It's hard to miss somebody getting pulled away by Volo, but I might have noticed it happening and brought in another bard pretty quickly after you left the tavern.
oh, that's good then. Once again, sorry. Didn't mean to miss it.
It's only the especially skilled who are able to step away from Volo at their will. So, it's all right. But quite lucky of you to have been able to meet one of our merchant princes so early after arriving in the city. Though you will be requiring to pay for your bedroom, so don't forget you do still owe me silver on that.
Oh, don't worry. We will pay.
And before you leave, he's gonna kind of like nod to Valdez. Will you be drinking tonight?
Well, yeah, I can go for a drink.
So he'll then pour you one as well.
Yeah, give him 5 copper.
So if you all are looking to head over and look straight for Eku, you're basically walking up and over the arch and kind of arching over the streets below you. Again, this is a very like vertically built old Roman style where like each level kind of expands. So when you get like you're effectively in like a small tavern with a very open top above it, and when you get to that like next level, it's effectively the third level from like the city floor, and that overhangs about 5 feet, so it's like slightly larger than the tavern below it. And then when you get to the fourth level, you basically have the largest floor, and you notice that there's basically a bar on the bottom, a bar in the top, and then it kind of descends down from like that top level is almost like the biggest part of the tavern, and then it descends down on the other side of the street, and those get more and more private. Upon kind of looking around in this initial level, you do see Azaka has basically stopped up here, and she's just kind of wandering around talking to different people who are in the tavern. And looking around, you do not see Echo, but you've basically already been told from the barkeep that she is probably down on the other side.
So yeah, so will kind of as they get upstairs, he'll kind of like scan the area. Sees Azaka, doesn't see Iku. Kind of glances back towards Valdis, and yeah, maybe she's down there. And then he might try, and depending on how like crowded it is or kind of what the walkability is, he would try to sort of make their way down towards the other side by trying to maybe pass close by where Azaka's if she, speaking with some of the other patrons, just try to see to catch if he hears her saying anything as he's walking by, but not like stopping real long enough to eavesdrop, just kind of more curious about, what she might be talking about with um the other people up here as he's at the same time kind of moving down, primarily going to look for Aku.
So it's not extremely crowded up there. Um, I'd say probably about like say 100 square foot kind of space. Or wait, no, it's more like 1,000 square foot. It's like 100 by 100, kind of at that point, like on that top level. And there's probably about 19 people up there. By the size of the bar, pretty much all of those people could almost sit at the actual like bar itself. So when you kind of look around it, it seems very much empty at this point. Um, Kind of also confirming for you guys, it's still early on some levels. As far as like a bustling bar in a big city might be, this still seems early. Um, Passing by Azaka just for a moment, do like a performance at advantage. You could, if you wanted to, you could add your dexterity, and if you have performance proficiency, add your proficiency. Because it's almost like you're stealthing while trying to look like you were not listening.
Right. Yeah, no proficiency in performance, so maybe I'll just do a straight
Yeah, so
dex.
that'd just be a dex check if you wanted that. I think it's better than your charisma. Yeah, so just kind of passing by, you more or less are able to pick up at this point. Azaka is purely trying to pick up information from some of the locals that she knows are local, about how many people they've seen who might be prospective travelers. So it's nothing like especially keen, but again, you're picking up that her wandering around is her looking for people like you. She is trying to find somebody who is looking to hire a guide. And that's kind of actively what she's going for right now.
Okay, yeah. So Jarek would kind of file that away in his mind. Um and then maybe once they were um yeah, and then kind of continuing on.
But again, part of what you can pick up from these things too is do an intelligence for me. Both of you can actually intelligence this one, just like a DC 10. So I think at very least right now what you guys can pick up is these four guides all have at least a little bit better of a work ethic, that they are actively trying to be seen in case people are looking to hire them. Azaka in particular is actively looking for people and is probably like willing to go an extra mile kind of thing. On some level, she is a little bit more out there. Um, Whereas like the other two that you've seen are kind of sitting there at the entrance to the bar together, like they're just kicking it.
Right. So maybe because I'm thinking, given the most of the flyers say like, 30 days payment up front, that might be tough for us to cover. So if we can find somebody who's a bit hungrier and maybe work out some sort of deal where we're paying less up front and they're still willing to take us out, we might have to settle on that.
I don't think it would have been unheard of for you all to have the conversation with Otamu, where most of the guides they have to charge 150 gold on some level. That is part of what is required to work for Jobal, to basically be a legal guide. You have to charge those fees, and in particular, it's because they have to pay 30 gold every single time they are hired. So Jobal takes a cut of what they do, and it's 1/5 of what they do. So he sets those fees that the minimum is 150 gold and 30 gold has to be paid to him. If they can charge more, then that is tacked on to what they have to pay to him. So any of the legal guides, you're going to have to pay that fee, as well as most guides are willing to waive the fee for an actual cut, if not for some other negotiable thing that they are looking to accomplish. But I don't think any of that would be something that you couldn't have picked up. You guys really did spend close to, I feel like, 6 or so hours at Watangu's. I don't think it would be crazy for you guys to have a whole shitload of information without me just narrating at you guys last session.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and I think a couple of the flyers actually do say like, "I'll waive it if you help me with this or that." So.
Yep, hers is one of them. Azaka is one of them that says that she'll waive it, but pretty much every guide will waive it for an equal cut of the treasure. Like Azaku in particular has the extra thing of what she'll waive it for.
Okay.
So eventually you all can start to walk down the other side. Each one is probably like the second level is probably say like 50 feet by 50 feet. And the level below that, it's actually, let's say like 40 feet by like 50 feet. And then the level below that is kind of like 30 by 30. It's almost a mirror image of where you all entered. There's just no door out on this place. I don't think fire hazards matter in a city like this. But when you kind of get eventually to the level below, the middle level, it's got some people in it. Seems busy enough, but predominantly on that level, you're just going to find people who are kind of privately in booths. And then eventually, when you get to the lowest level, you'll eventually see Eku, who is more or less sitting alone, just watching everybody who kind of approaches this area. And if you'd all like, you can insight check. So as you approach this level, you see she's not actually drinking. She is very much just kind of sitting in a position where every single person who walks into this area is within her view. And she's very attentive to the moment you start to walk down those stairs. She's watching to make eye contact with you. And it very much stands out that the moment you can look around this place, you already see somebody making eye contact with you. And that's going to jump out at you where you're not going to miss that Echo is here because she's attentively watching everybody who walks into this location. And I think for what it's worth, that's going to feel positive. It'll give you in the same way the other ones seem to have like a lesser work ethic, a nicer work ethic. She seems wholesome. And we'll kind of go for that as you all approach this area. Again, it's still a little bit light on people. There's not a whole lot of people here. But this side is like a quieter area. Um, this is very much kind of like private booths that have like a separation between them, and there's not nearly as much room as for say like the other side of the tavern, where it's more or less open with like some places to sit. This one is very much almost like the champagne room in a modern tavern. This is the nice private, you can talk in this place, and potentially if somebody's listening, it's going to be far more obvious when somebody's listening into one of your conversations.
Yeah, so I guess Jarrah kind of seeing her taking that kind of like strategic seating and having a good view and kind of given his background that impresses him as well. So he's going to kind of he'll glance towards Valdis and just kind of like lift one eyebrow and then kind of gesture slightly with his head towards where Eku's sitting and kind of silently asking like, "Can we go over?"
With that side, Valdis will smile towards Echo and start waving.
Yeah, I will just kind of snort at that.
Um, so, as you all approach this area, again, it's still a little bit light on people. There's not a whole lot of people here. But this side is like a quieter area. It has like a separation between them, and there's not nearly as much room as for say like the other side of the tavern, where it's more or less open with like some places to sit. This is very much kind of like private booths that have like a separation between them, and there's not nearly as much room as for say like the other side of the tavern, where it's more or less open with like some places to sit. This is very much kind of like private booths that have like a separation between them, and there's not nearly as much room as for say like the other side of the tavern, where it's more or less open with like some places to sit. This is very much kind of like private booths that have like a separation between them, and there's not nearly as much room as for say like the other side of the tavern, where it's more or less open with like some places to sit. This is very much kind of like private booths that have like a separation between them She's going to do like the come hither hand, and kind of invite you over to her table.
Yeah, so Jarek will just kind of like shake his head at Valdis's enthusiasm, and then he'll start approaching when she beckons them over.
So as you all approach, she's going to stand up from her table, and she'll kind of she's just going to like stand up, and basically like invite you all to take a seat at the table. And as she kind of does that gesture with her arms, she'll say to you, "It's a pleasure to meet you all. You appear to be looking for myself. My name is Eku. Perhaps we will become friends." And as she has each of you sit, whoever sits first, she'll reach over and she'll present her palm up and look to shake your hand.
I guess Valdis would try to sit first and shake her hand. Very eagerly.
And what is your name, friend?
Hello. My name is Valdis. And yes, hopefully we can become good friends.
She'll shake your hand like kind of like twice before she holds it for a moment. And then she'll look to the next person, assuming it's Jarek. She'll kind of, again, like presenting her palm up. Again, my name is Eku, and welcome, friend.
Jarek will extend his hand to shake, and sort of in contrast to Valdis, he'll just very kind of like, Jarek, nice to meet you. And then he'll take a seat as well, and then he'll gesture towards uh Killen, and assuming Island's there, to introduce them to her as well. And then so we indeed might be interested in your services.
Intriguing. Well, I am open to such prospects. You seem kind enough. From my experience, many people of lesser builds are not willing to make eye contact with a friendly figure, and that is good as an initial place of meeting. It elates me. I am curious what you intend to look for within the jungles of Chult. Why do you need to search the jungle?
So Jarek is going to kind of, he'll glance over towards Valdis and the others, and then look back at AQ and kind of making eye contact. There is um, information that may be useful to certain individuals. We've been tasked with um, seeing if we can recover it. You'll forgive me, but until we know each other a little better, I'm hesitant to explain more than that.
You seek information from the jungle.
There are some who have gone in, who have not come out, and our patron believes that they may have uncovered something that did not make it back. That's what we've been tasked to see if we can find.
Many people go into these jungles and do not come out. There are many things that have been lost, and it should be reclaimed. Were worthy warriors able to step forward and rise above the creatures that have taken these lands. Tell me, what would you ask of myself to be more willing to present your case? Why do you search for me, and yet you fear me?
I would not say I fear you, but I am admittedly a man that is slow to trust. I was um, encouraged when I saw your flyer. Tell me, is it true that you give your coins you earn to charity? It certainly seems that there is much need of that, given what I've seen of this city. And he kind of like gets a little bit of a um, not quite disgusted, but kind of like you know he's not that impressed by what he's kind of seen, like the disparity in wealth and stuff so far. Kind of it is in his tone, kind of clear that it kind of sits with him the wrong way.
There is much to do with the a world of civilization that is disgusting. I do not hesitate to share this view with you. I think much of what makes this land unpresentable is the very nature of how humans tend to rule over the natural world about. There are many people who do evil in the name of ruling others. But they would be evil whether they rule others or not. There are many people who do great good while holding up the guise of power. It is hard to tell who these people are. But yes, in this land, there is much wrong with the people who call themselves civilized. And I do indeed give any coins that are extra to those who are in need. There are very many who are in need, and there is never enough coin.
Yes, well, sadly, corruption and hypocrisy and all the rest is not limited to this place. I've plenty of experience it with myself where I originally hail from. Um, but I am in again your words please me. I think perhaps we may be able to do business. And then he's going to Jarek will glance towards Valdez, kind of giving him the floor.
I can see you are very honorable. Seems you are who you say you are. Not really sure how much we can speak about, so they're not our secrets to tell either. But we do need help guiding us through the jungle. So far, from the posters we've seen, you seem the most upfront.
She'll look over towards Valdez. And what are your criteria of honor? What is most important for you that appeals.
Doing good, helping the people in need.
This is a very fine answer. I am pleased by your presence. I am pleased by your feel and by your words. I think that if you are interested, I am more than willing to travel with you, to show you around our beautiful continent. But I assure you, if you start to do evil deeds, if you stray from the path of goodness, I will leave. And this is by no means negotiable. I will not partake in any evil upon these lands. And as long as we are working together, I require you make these same choices. Do you think that you can make this choice?
And just so we understand each other completely, you've asked Valdis his definition of honor. What is your definition of evil?
None should be harmed. Do not attempt to harm you first. You should never instigate any sort of confrontation. If at all possible, you should avoid killing at all occasions. And I think these things ask a lot of those who would venture around the land of Chult. But I think it is better to die honorable and good than it is to live without your morals. Effectively, she is telling you all she will only travel with good aligned characters. When you are in melee, all of your attacks should be to knock somebody out and not kill them. Like anything melee that is the final hit points should be an attack to render somebody unconscious. Um, on some level, there will be the understanding that if a ranged attack knocks somebody to 0 hit points, they're going to die regardless. That's the danger of shooting, taking ranged attacks. And among other things, that will also include if your main character dies, and I'm not sure, but I feel like the two of you are the ones that is probably the biggest thing. If your main character dies and you guys create your side characters, like once they become full-fledged characters, if they are not good characters, she is going to leave the party. Um, and that's again kind of the cost of hiring her. She will only work with good aligned characters, and the moment she starts to see evil inclinations, she's basically saying that is her condition to leave the party.
So hearing this, Jarek he'll nod, kind of a little more deep nod, and he'll say like, "Agreed. Um, we are of one mind on this. Might be, I don't know, depending. My second character might have he's not evil, but he's not quite as good. So we'll deal with that when we come to it. But
And that's precisely what I mean, is on some level that might be the inclination. to perhaps change where you're looking to go with your second character. As far as I know offhand, you're probably limited to something like a Celestial Warlock or effectively some sort of good aligned Warlock if you are trying to continue to venture with her if Jarek were to die. I think as far as things go, the fact that those characters don't have to be finished to be your sidekicks on some level, as long as they're not leading the party, I think we can manage it. But that is the cost of working with her. She's one of the few things in 5th edition that still requires alignment. And it's the condition of working with her is good characters. And that includes if you create a neutral character, that is not good enough. You need to be good characters. It just so happens the 3 characters that you all made right now are chaotic good, neutral good, and lawful good.
Right. Yeah, I might have to rethink a little of the background of my warlock sidekick to because I don't think maybe he's not willingly serving a great old one. He's a good guy who's trying to get out from under its thumb or something like that. I could make that work, but I might just yeah, things that are well, yeah, we'll see how it.
One of the things about great old ones in particular as well, though, is great old one is probably the least involved of all of the warlock patrons. Great old ones have 0 fucks to give. They give away power looking to cause problems. Like they don't have any inclination any direction. Um, so that is an aspect of the great old one that, for what it's worth, I feel like that would almost be like if you were chaotic good, you could certainly find that character still in her good graces. I think the chaotic is more an inclination that the great old one is worried about than whether you are an evil character. Whereas like the fiend or the I can't think of the other ones offhand, but effectively I feel like the great old one you could do like a chaotic good um and kind of arrive at it because that particular deity doesn't really care what your inclination is. They just kind of look for bad things to happen based on power tends to have extra stuff happen.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Almost, yes, and it's kind of like if you consider like they're essentially like completely alien entities. Like the idea of human morality, like is that doesn't even like come into thought for them. Like they don't think in terms of good and evil and that sort of thing.
Exactly. And also, one of the things is, on some level, your side characters should be inclined to good, simply because your main characters are all good right now. So that is an aspect like, Chris, you might look for your cut purse to essentially be kind of like a Robin Hood character. Simply because right now you guys have created a good party. That is the universal thing between the 3 characters that you all have. So I'm not saying there is any problem with you all hiring her. This is just one of the things. She's pretty upfront about the fact that you all will have to keep this in mind, that she is here to do good, and she will not bend on that. She will leave you all the moment things seem to be going otherwise.
Yeah, well, that definitely fits with what I would say what Jarek's looking for. So
Yeah, it definitely fits Valdez criteria too.
yeah, and I imagine Island as well, being a cleric of is he a cleric of no saloon, right? Yeah, so I think that would fit. So I don't think he'll have a
Yeah, if I
problem with it.
recall, I think Jarek is the chaotic good. I think Island is the neutral good, and Chris is lawful good.
Yep.
I think Jarek's neutral good as well.
Oh, maybe it's Island who's chaotic good then. You guys do have all 3.
Okay, okay.
Because I looked at it and I'm like, this is fucking bizarre. Yeah, Island is chaotic good.
Okay, so yeah, so Jarek will we're hoping to to head out as early as tomorrow. Is that going to be a problem for you?
There's no necessary problem on when we leave. But I wonder, how prepared are you? How long do you expect this expedition to go for? And what sort of preparations you've set into where you would like to go? What are the logistics of what you would like to guide you on?
We are headed in the direction of um, the old Camp Righteous, Camp Vengeance, that general area. Um, we have some food and water and supplies, but to be honest, given your experience, if there's anything you suggest we should do before leaving, we're certainly open to your suggestions. And we don't, if you have an idea of how long such a journey might take there and back, that may give us also some um, idea of uh, if additional supplies will be required. Tell me, is there um, any chance for foraging or finding fresh water in the jungle?
Finding fresh water in the jungle is not a problem. Finding fresh water that will not cause the diseases of our jungle is a different story. Among the preparation that we should prepare for, if we are to go to Camp Righteous, we should be prepared for 9 or so days by land. Perhaps half that if you are prepared to travel by boat. We will need to have 2 gallons of water per person per day, as well as a pound of rations per person per day. So if righteous is our goal, and we intend to spend 2 days at the camp, I would say we should have no less than 20 days of food and water if we intend to travel by land. If we intend to travel by boat, then we can reduce that to about 12 days of food and water. And if we look to go to Camp Vengeance, that is a further 30 or 40 miles, depending on the difficulty of how we travel. Again, if we go by a boat, we can cover a good bit more per day. But we will be limited to perhaps 24 days. No, wait, my bad. 26 days if we are to go there, spend 2 days and come back. Or about 16 days if we are to travel by water. Go there and come back. So that's just the first level of like the actual logistics of traveling here. You guys are looking at about 10 miles a day through the jungle, perhaps 20 miles a day going by water. And you need to carry effectively 2 gallons of water apiece and a pound of food for each day. So if you're going to have a 7-person party, you need to have, what is that, 14 gallons of water per day and 7 pounds of food, or 7 rations per day. Have you contemplated, have you purchased the canoe? Are you prepared to travel by water? Do you intend to travel by land?
I'm not certain we have the funds for a canoe. So I imagine we'll likely be traveling by land. And Jarek will kind of look towards Valdis to see if he agrees, and then he'll kind of look back and um, we may be able to speak with our um, employer and see if they might be willing to extend some additional funds to allow us to travel by water, but you would need to most likely need to take the day tomorrow to see if that will be possible. And it sounds like we will need to purchase some additional supplies in any event.
Let's take a quick break here. Take a few moments and let me look up a few things, and we'll come back, you know, like 25 after at the latest. But otherwise, if you don't have to go, just when everybody's back, we'll kind of pop back into it.
Okay, yeah, I had one question about how rations work. I think it's like the
Effectively,
players.
like a ration, as it's like on you. If it says one ration, that's like 3 meals worth of food across the day. But you have to, I believe you have to basically consume a ration to count as eating that day. You do not have to eat every single day to not gain exhaustion. But if you don't eat for 2 days, you gain a level of exhaustion.
Okay, yeah, because I guess it's like because you said like 1 pound of rations per day, but I think like technically the handbook it's one ration is 2 pounds, so I wasn't sure exactly how that
Yeah,
worked.
what I meant there was one ration. That was one of the things that I was trying not to actually say was a weight.
Okay, okay,
Because I
thanks.
think it's
That clears it
effectively,
up.
I think it's like 16 pounds of water, and then with that in mind, 2 pounds of food per day that you have to consume.
Right, right. Okay, yeah, makes sense. All right, yeah, I'll be back in a bit.
Yeah, I'll be back in bed too.
Are either of you back right now?
I'm back. I just got back. Yep. Just trying to figure out how much how much water a water skin actually holds.
I think a skin is um shit. I think it like weighs like its weight I think represents when it's full. And I think 8 pounds of water is a gallon.
Okay, because since yeah, 5 pounds is a full water skin.
Yeah, so I think that's a half gallon. I think the water skin is a pound, and then it's 4 pounds of water.
Okay, so we'd actually probably need to get almost like barrels of water if we went for like multiple days.
Yeah, and exactly. That's one of the things where I think this is kind of coming into contact with what the actual like level of a exploration really comes down to. Like the actual level of to survive in an exploration campaign. This is the only time like it really ever matters, and it is a huge undertaking.
Right, right. Like in that case, it if we could go by water, it's not only less time, but it's probably easier to transport all this stuff by boat than lugging it overland. But I guess sort of what Jarek's thinking is, the next day we would go to see Syndra and see if, tell her like, okay, we found a guide and we've got sort of a plan on what to do, but um because I think it's going to be what 150 gold up front for the guide, and I think that'll pretty much wipe us out for what she's given us already. So we'd essentially need her to front some more expenses if we want to be able to buy all the stuff that we're going to need.
Yeah, hello, I'm back.
Excellent. Um. So yeah, I think continuing the conversation, um, who is going to kind of look to you all. Actually, before we actually jump into things, do either of you intend to actually like role play finding your other, or does it sound good to you all that we just know that this is a 7-person expedition right now?
Yeah, I was thinking for Jarek's psychic, just going to kind of the next morning, sometime when they're leaving and going out, he's gonna like introduce himself, tell him that like he kind of I don't know, he had a vision, or he, you know, kind of maybe being a little bit vague about how he knows, but just saying essentially like saying, I'm here to help you, and something simple like that. I wasn't gonna role play the whole thing out.
Yeah, and I feel like Taryn would probably have been in the Thundering Lizard, like watching us, seeing that we're about to do something, and he can smell riches on it. So he would probably invite himself in coming day.
So do you think that that has already happened, Chris?
No, probably hasn't happened yet. It would probably be like the next day, like
Gotcha.
after we slept and everything.
Like maybe after he saw them speaking with Aku, and that kind of gave him an idea if they were going out to the jungle, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Like he noticed that we have something going on, and we need a guide, so we're probably gonna go into the jungle, and then we're probably gonna find something to make money off.
You tell me that your patron is supplying you with the means for this expedition. You hide information from me. Perhaps your patron finds great value in what it is that you look to do. Does your patron require something from these camps of the... Why can't I think of it? The Order of the Gauntlets? Is this why you are so inclined to head directly towards Camp Righteous and Camp Vengeance?
Our patron is seeking ways to end this death curse. Um, the information that we are seeking is perhaps a means towards that end.
What, pray tell, do you mean by this death curse?
I was I have been given to understand that um, there are a large number of undead roaming about, and that there is some curse that may also be um, affecting the living. To be completely honest, the particulars are somewhat outside my ken, but um, that is what I know.
She'll turn to Valdez. What do you know of this death curse? It is definitely not related to the undead. They have been in this land for many generations. They are the result of Rasni's old rise to power, and the spell plague separating him from his creatures.
Um, well, uh, I know that the curse makes the people who suffer it, well, suffer. They seem to rot, so to say, slowly. I know that our patron employer wishes to get rid of the curse.
What is your patron's name? Tell me about her. I guess tell me about them.
Valis will glance like to Yarrick, but like, uh, can I tell? How much can I tell? And
So
then go.
Jarek's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, then go like, yeah. Well, Yarrick, help me. What can we tell?
So Jarek's gonna kind of um, narrow his eyes again a little, like kind of like he's thinking about it, and then finally give kind of like a long sigh, kind of through his nose, and then, are you familiar with Sindra Sildane?
Sindor Sylvain, tell me more. Describe them, spare no details that you know.
Well, she's powerful. She's friends with Tanga, and well, she's cursed, and she needs help.
No, tell me about her. And again, this is one of those things you guys don't have to particularly say stuff, but as long as you describe stuff as you are basically avoiding stuff that she is looking for. If you want to describe her physical nature, like what you've seen, what she looks like, that's what she's looking for, and that's what she's inclining towards. You don't have to, in particular, like try to recall what little I've described to you, but that's what she's looking for you to describe. She wants you to describe this person, powerful, not a descriptor. Saying that she's a wizard, that will help. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. And again, you can say, I'm going to describe what I saw of Sindra Sylvain.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. So, oh, go ahead, Chris.
no, you can go ahead. I was just basically gonna say, otherwise I'm gonna explain how she looked and that she's a wizard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you guys don't have to role play that, is what I'm saying. You can narrate that I'm going to answer her questions without hiding information, kind of thing.
yeah, Valdis would do that. He, yeah, wouldn't hide it. He would tell her about how Syndra looked and what we've seen of her and what we know
And
of her.
maybe, yeah, and Jarek would add that she's powerful enough that she got us to Chult by means of magic, kind of filling in maybe a couple details. But yeah, at this point, he's decided that um he's not gonna hide anything. He doesn't kind of really see any way to avoid telling her what she's asking for if they want to hire her. So he'll be more open.
Do you currently possess anything that she has put her energy, her life, her effort, anything that is close to her physically?
Actually, don't remember if she gave us anything. I feel like she may have given Island something, but maybe misremembering.
Do you have any thoughts, Valdis?
No, I'm trying to remember too, but I can only remember the money we got.
Let me have you guys do a intelligence check. Valdis, the map that you all have of Chult.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll show her. Damn. Yeah, Valdis will show her the map.
So she'll take a moment, and as she kind of looks around the room, she'll then return her eyes to the map and start to unroll the actual parchment. This is excellent. And she'll kind of like wander with her mind for a moment. I think perhaps it is time that we retire to a little bit more private of a location. Have you... Never mind. I do not have a nice home, but if you would be inclined, I can take you to mine. Would you be so kind as to join me?
Certainly.
Yeah,
I see
Jarek will
no problem.
nod.
So I think the five of you can leave the Red Bazaar. I don't think she would stay in the actual city proper, so I think she'll probably take you outside into the Tariki anchorage. Um, and I think it's just gonna kind of be like a little hovel. It's just like a little single room. There's no furniture at all. There's next to nothing in it, and I think we're just gonna go for it. It's this little square down here. Um, and she'll invite you all in. There's next to no extra room. With five people in here, this is a pretty full room. And once you guys arrive back there, she's you probably have like a 20-minute walk to get there. She's a small little old lady, about 5'6". She is walking on a staff that is about as tall as her. In particular, the actual staff itself. The actual staff itself is like a stylized top to it with almost like a winged kind of dragon at the top of it. And it's pretty much coiled around the staff in a form of kind of like the hermetic symbol. Or not hermetic. Shit. It's the thing doctors took. I feel like it's Hermes something, but um let me have each of you do a intelligence or religion check. Yeah, so as you guys kind of pass around this area, we are middle of the month, so about a full moon. So you guys can see like her robe is like a dark black, but it almost like shines purple as it catches like more of the moonlight while she's walking. But eventually you all arrive back at her little home. She kind of brings you all in, shuts it's basically like a reed door kind of behind you all. And basically sitting inside of darkness inside of there, you kind of see as she sparks one little candle, another little candle, and eventually lights like four candles in each of the corners of this small little room. And then she's going to sit down in the center as she sits lotus style. and again ask you for the map as she looks to Valdis. May I please have Syndra's map?
Valdis hands it over to her.
So 10 minutes are going to go by as she prepares a little ritual circle that she'll draw like a chalk circle around the map. She will light two different candles on each side of the map, like above it. And she basically will sit there as she starts to weave a spell into the map for the next 10 minutes. What are you all doing while you watch this? Are you just sitting there watching? Are you kind of just like nonchalantly like zoning out? What do you have in mind as you see her start to cast the spell?
Yeah, so I think Jarek would definitely be taken aback a little bit. Um, he's almost starting to like, doubt his first impression of her, but he's going to be watching it pretty intently. Um, kind of both out of curiosity and kind of uncertainty about just what she's doing. But
Valdis,
kind of recognizing also
right?
that she's probably like focusing on it, so he's not going to interrupt her.
Yeah, and I can say Valdis will look on. Yeah, very eagerly, finding it very. What's the word? Intriguing. Just looking on, looking at whatever she's doing.
Mara, are you thinking of the staff of Asclepius?
Slepius sounds close. Um, but that does not. I really do feel like it is hermetic on some level. Is still, it's like it's effectively the medicine symbol.
Oh,
It,
Caduceus?
Caduceus sounds right actually, because it's effectively it's like a double helix of the DNA strand. Is part of why it's always been so amazing to me.
Yeah, I think Caduceus is like two snakes making the double helix and wings.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds more like it.
Yeah, but realistically, I think Asclepius is pretty close as well. But neither of you kind of will pick up on it right away as to what it is. It is essentially, though, simply at this point, it looks like a stylized, like a snake, essentially, at the top of her staff. So eventually, she is going to finish casting the actual spell. And as she see, let me have one of you roll a d20 for me, whichever rolls it first. Well, probably about, what is that, 20 minutes will go by before you see as she kind of comes back to consciousness. I was able to see your friend, and I believe I do understand more about what this death curse is, and I am more than willing to help. It does not mean that I do not have requirements of my own, but perhaps you may find me much more valuable than you have thought before when you first sought me out. Your inclination to visit the Order of the Gauntlet, would you be willing to postpone this visit and we move beyond their camps into, and she's going to show you on the map. If we move beyond Camp Righteousness, Camp Vengeance, and into the Aldani Basin, I have business in Mombala. And while perhaps we can solve the problem immediately, perhaps we will not. But I would ask that we at very least attempt to treat with my needs prior to searching out your own. If you are willing to do this, you can agree now, and I will waive most of my fee. I must still pay Jobal 30 gold to leave the town as a hired servant of yours. If you would bring me in as an equal, and I would take my own treasure away, we can treat with Mbala, but we do not have to go right away. Those are the first two options of how I will join your party.
And this Mbala, is that a settlement, a town?
Roll an insight check. Mbala was once a settlement. Their people have been tricked by a great evil, and they are all but destroyed. They once invited a witch doctor into their settlement. This nanny Poo Poo took much from them. And over time, she is the only one to remain. I tell you now, she is not a witch doctor, but a practitioner of great evil. There are few things in the jungles of Chult that I despise as much as Nanny Poop.
So Jarek will kind of consider what she said for a moment, and then nod. I he'll look towards Valdez, but and then he'll say, I don't see a problem with heading away first if my companions are amenable.
Balance will go. No, I don't find any problem with that. You need our help? I'm happy to give it.
So, you will pay me your 30 gold. We will go there most directly. And at the end of our trading, you will pay 120 gold to the peoples, 40 gold to each of the areas left beyond Port Nyanzaru.
Agreed.
So yeah, if you guys agree to that, that will be effectively the deal. You can pay 30 gold to her up front, and you will go straight to Mimbala, and try to deal with this witch doctor. Um, and that will effectively be like the first mission. Um, And just to be clear, the other option is to basically bring her in as part of the group, and she will waive the fee, and you just have to at some point make Mumbala a priority to go after.
Right. Yeah. I guess my thinking or Jarek's thinking is, given the location, it's kind of, if we go, even if we go there first, and we're not 100% sure on how accurate the information with the other stuff is, so doesn't really see an issue with doing that first, and then, we could even on the way back try and, move up towards Forn or something, or towards looking for that. So that's his thinking on it.
And does that sound good for you as well, Chris?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Excellent. So, tomorrow we will purchase 2 canoes, for which we will head down the river Soshinsta. We should purchase some provisions for the way. If you trust my assurance that we need not purchase too much, canoes will be the main requirements that we will have along this way.
And how much do you think a canoe might cost?
I believe canoes are 50 gold.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think to look in the handbook. Yeah, rowboats, yep, canoe 50 gold. Yep.
Um, I'm not sure how inclined. Yeah, I think at this point she's gonna kind of leave it at that, where she's going to suggest you kind of I think so, she'll suggest we should purchase 2 canoes, acquire a rain catcher, so we can catch rain and produce fresh water that way. And I believe we can probably get by with those things. Worst case scenario, we can risk the dangers of some of the diseases of this land and return immediately upon infection. It may behoove us to purchase something to deal with the insects of the lands. Um, yeah, but in essence, I think the main worry she's going to suggest is that the rain catcher will allow us to produce water. We can forage for some level of food, but probably 10 days of food would be wise. And then I think insect repellent is one of the options.
Okay. Yes. Let's see. So they gave us 150 gold. I don't think we spent any of that yet, right? So 100 gold for 2 canoes, 30 gold for the upfront fee. That leaves us the 20 kind of in the party loot from the 150 Sindra gave us. I don't know how much like a rain catcher or the insect repellent would be. Because unfortunately, I spent most of my personal funds on getting studded leather instead of chainmail. So um, I don't know how much Valdis and Island would have in their own personal funds to cover some of that.
You can buy. I just looked up like insect repellent salve for 1 gold. That's 20 applications. Plus, it's waterproof. Cool.
Yeah, so there's the insect repellent for a gold with 20 applications, or there is a block of incense that protects a 20-foot radius, and that's repels for 8 hours, but it's 1 silver. And then the rain catcher will hold up to 8 gallons. So really, you'd probably want to get 2 of them. It will hold up to 8 gallons, and it collects 2 gallons of drinking water per inch of rainfall. And it is 1 gold. Yeah, I think you could get by with one rain catcher. Like she'll suggest the 2 canoes, one rain catcher, um, ample amounts of insect repellent, whichever direction you guys want to go on that. You can choose. I think in general, as far as things go, the biggest danger with insects is actively when you are sleeping, um, more than the annoyance of during the day while you are moving.
Right. So maybe we just get a bunch of those incense blocks and then kind of burn them while we're during our rests. Sounds like that might be the cheaper way to go.
Yeah, effectively, as far as the mechanics go, um, the insect repellent that you put on yourself, it covers you, but the real danger is from sleeping without having insect repellent. That's where you can gain that disease, um, and you start to suffer from it.
Right. And then so we're oh, did Aku tell us, because I know she told us the what she thought about the how long it would take to get to Camp Ven or Camp Righteous. Did she mention how long it would how much longer it would going to Mbala instead would add to it? Or can we ask her, I guess, once we've agreed that that's what we'll do?
We should have 11 days by canoe and perhaps 2 days to Mambala. So we should have 13 days of travel to arrive there.
Okay. So and then probably won't be able to pick up new supplies in Mbala, it sounds like.
If we have our most basic supplies and find ourselves successful in Mambala, I assure you we will find ourselves well taken care of after removing the existence of this witch doctor.
Okay. So Chris Valdez, I'm thinking maybe we get like uh 20 incense blocks. Figure one of those a day, and that way we have a little bit. We have some extra if we needed to like set up. Um, and that I think would be 2 gold.
Yep.
And then if we get a rain catcher, um, Jarek would also like to pick up a healer's kit if we have the funds, because I think that's 5 gold.
I think you guys will want two because I'm pretty sure Aelin is also a healer, and that would be a wise decision to have two of you with those.
Oh yeah, yeah. In that case, oh yeah, yeah. I think he did say he took the healer's feat. Yeah. So I think yeah, but so we have essentially 30 group gold after the canoes or sorry, 20 group gold after the canoes and the payment to Aku, and then 2 gold on the insect repellent. And then if we buy a rain catcher, we spend 10 gold on the healer's kits, and then some extra. Probably even with the rain catchers, probably just want to maybe buy a little bit of extra water and food and stuff. I think we can cover it.
The rain is nearly continuous. We will experience it for much of the time that we are within the jungle. If we are prepared with the rain catcher, we should have no worries for rain. Having containers to store as much water as possible will be important. We do not carry. I think the big thing for you all to have is to have 4 water skins apiece. So you are at very least covered through the day. So you basically don't have to take a break when it rains. So you can collect water to refill your skins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also I guess in terms of like logistics, do the sidekicks, are they presumed to have any supplies with them already or any gold for buying things?
On some level, without forcing you guys to create the characters right away, I would say in general, we might just have them start with no gold. But like if you buy um 3 extra water skins apiece, we will assume that one, you don't have to purchase their water skins, they can purchase it, but that will be part of them not starting with gold, is that they'll start with 4 water skins kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
But I feel like on some level at this point, their day-to-day costs you'll have to pay for, but buying them equipment we'll assume that they pay for kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, this is just more logistics than we're used to, I think, dealing with in the
Yeah, and I mean that's
uh
what this campaign is it's part of why in general I'm not a huge fan of exploration campaigns. That's precisely what this is. But on some level, part of what she's telling you is if we leave town with the minimum stuff required, we'll be able to survive this. Um, so I think at present, right now, you guys are at um, what is it? Is it a gold for a water skin?
I think it's actually only for a full water skin, I think it's only actually like 2 silvers. Or maybe it's 5. I wrote it down somewhere. Oh yeah,
2 silver
water
pieces.
skin is 2 silver pieces, and then a day's rations is 5 silver.
So if you guys have to buy, again, you don't necessarily have to count the actual like the mercenaries for this, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna purchase 6 more skins. So it'll be one gold, 2 silver, or 9 more skins rather. So 1 gold, 8 silver.
Right.
So I think that has you guys at basically 115 gold. So you probably have vaguely 15 gold that you guys can spend on food.
Yeah, and so I think I've got 10 days that came with the explorers pack. I don't know Valdis, how much Valdis or Island has to start with, but I would say if we buy at least we can do some foraging, but if we want to do like another, at least maybe if we do like what, four more days worth of piece, that would be 2 gold a piece, right? Or no, it's yeah, because it's 2 days, 1 gold. 4 days is 2 gold. Yeah, so it'd be 6 gold if each of us buys another 4 days worth of food. Or if we just go and do
How
like,
many days ration did Valdis actually start with?
Valdez started with 5 rations.
Yeah, so you need to at least buy like twice as much for Valdis. She basically recommended that you need to go in there with 10 days of rations. If you're thinking to buy 4 with Jarek, then you're trying to recommend to Valdis that he buys 9.
in that case, I'd say Valdis just buy um you know
Get it so I have 10 days, basically.
yeah, before we do anything else. So that would be what, 3 gold, or no, 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have enough that you can buy 30 days of rations at this point. That basically takes it up to the 150 gold that she gave you.
Right. I think we might want to keep like a little bit in reserve just in case, like if we lose our supplies or something, we need to go buy more later. But maybe we spend like most of it on food, so we're kind of. I feel like especially as like new explorers, like the tendency would be like you always buy way more than you actually end up using.
Yeah, and then right now, Burke has 21 gold on Island. Did you guys never separate the 150? Is that why you say it's on the party loot list?
I added 50 into mine.
Yeah, actually, I did too. But I think essentially to make this easier, we'd essentially put that all back into a pile and use it for all these supplies.
I have a feeling he spent some of his, though.
What's
That's
his
mo-
background again?
Yeah,
Does he
he
have
already has 2 healers kits, so you guys won't have to buy that because he's already purchased some.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll see I assume he would give me one and we both carry one. Okay, so that's 10 gold right there that we don't.
Yeah, I don't know. He might. He's got cartographer's tools. I feel like he purchased some stuff already. It's going to be hard to predict because I feel like he sold his like chainmail and got studded leather. I think he's purchased the cartographer's kit. I think he purchased 2 healers kits. We'll have to kind of see. It really sucks not having him at this point. Um, but I think we'll have to see with that. But for what it's worth, I think what we're going to have you all do is effectively leave here without money, kind of level. Um, but if you're looking to have like kind of 10 gold between you all, that's probably within the grounds of what you guys can make happen. Um, it's just hard to tell with what he's done without him here.
Yeah. And I don't want to spend too much time going over all,
And
like,
that's part of what I mean. Like in the long run, I want you guys to keep the records as best as possible. Because I have to assume that he took his 50 gold just like the 2 of you, and he spent it down to 21. So what do you two have between you? How about we start from there, actually?
I have 64 gold. Keep it simple.
And I have 51 gold and 4 silver because I spent most of my starting gold on the studded leather, but I still have all of the 50 gold that I didn't spend any of the 50 that Syndra gave us.
And it's 5 gold for a healer's kit?
Yeah, but if Island already has 2, then I won't need to buy one of those.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably one of the first variables that can go, is kind of how I'm thinking of it. So yeah, looking at that, he has 10 rations, Yarrick has 10 rations, and Valdis has 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that puts you all at that 115, 126 gold. I think that then gives you all 110 gold to purchase the incense blocks, the rain catcher, a healer's kit, the canoes, and 9 water skins. So I think that would put you guys at 16 gold remaining. I would say if you purchase like 6 more rations for Valdis, you guys would have 31 between you all, and you would have 112 gold, 113 gold. Or rather 13 gold, my bad.
Okay. And sorry, how much is a rain catcher again?
Rain catcher is 1 gold.
Okay. And you said Island had 21 gold on him?
Oh, I might have done the math wrong. Was it 136 gold then?
Yeah, because it's 130 just between the canoes and Aku's fee.
Oh, that's what I was dropping, was the 30 fee.
But I think she said she's dropping the rest of it, but or she's essentially deferring it and would give it as charity afterwards, I think is the deal. But she said she still leaves a 30 up front.
Yeah, I do have to make it that unless you guys make her a partner, she does still have to charge it. She's just going to pay Joe Ball is the upfront fee. Yeah, so I did my math wrong. You have 136. So once you buy the canoes and you pay her fee, you should have 6 gold.
Okay, so I'd say the rain catcher and the incense. We buy 1 rain catcher, 20 incense blocks, an
And
extra
then you
3
really
water
need,
skins apiece, and then whatever's left we spend on food for Valdis, I would say. Or we buy fewer incense blocks and we just buy, what did she say, 13 days worth? Because that gives us some more, and then spend that extra on food instead.
do you find yourselves more inclined to make me a partner in your venture?
I think perhaps considering what we need, that may be best.
And do you as well agree, Valdis?
Yeah, I agree. It would help us a bit, and it would help you a bit too.
If you would so please, is to shake on it and give me your word.
Father stretches his hand and shakes on it, and says, "I promise."
And the same for you, Jarek.
Yep, Jarek will do the same.
And then she'll do the same for Island as well as Killen. With me as a partner in this venture, We require not that we have to go directly to Umbala, but it must be a priority of ours that we do go there. I require that. With that in mind, though you may find it uncomfortable, we will not require any sort of incense, water, nor food. I can supply all of that for us on this venture. And she is going to cease to look like a human as her head starts to look like a snake. She starts to become extremely slender. She eventually transforms into a very colorful, like a parrot like snake, and she has two wings where her arms once were. She is the actual form of the snake that you once saw on her um on her staff. She is in fact a coatl.
Okay. Wow. How'd you do that? That's amazing.
Yeah. So inside of the actual chat there, I posted a picture of what a coatl looks like. She is a divine being. She has just radiant light just kind of scattering off of her form. And she will basically turn into this form, shortly after return to her humanoid form. And she can at that point, again, you guys will basically need to purchase the canoes. Um, I can cover the fee required for Jobal's sake. You will not have to undertake that expenditure. And other than that, everything else you require will be for your own personal comfort. I think it would be wise for us to have plenty of water skins, but more than anything, I require basins to create food and water for us. If we must, we can summon the food and water into the canoes, though it may be more desirable to have something that we do not spend all day getting muddy. But that is up to you.
So Jarek, after kind of getting over his, I assume he would have no idea what a coatl is, like any background information on it.
The two of you can do religion checks here. With a 12, I would say you're at least vaguely understanding that you've heard of these divine beings before. I would be inclined to say that you probably never believed in the idea of them.
Okay, yeah, like a kind of like a myth, and then
Yeah, it's
um,
one of those weird things about everything about like being in Faerun. It's like you may never have seen a god, but there's plenty of people who talk about that they've seen God's avatars. You may never have seen a coatl, but there's plenty of people who talk about them. In many instances, this is basically the like snake version of like an Asimar almost, where it's like a human kind of a version of like a god. These are like godly snakes, kind of.
right, okay, uh, yeah. So Jarek would thank her for um, handling the fee and the others, and then he would agree that given that they can, they should certainly be able to purchase a couple um basins or containers for the for the food, and he would ask like if there's anything specific they need, or just some essentially like maybe like kind of like platters or like pewter things or something like that. So they could, they should be able to pick those up.
A large container of 30 gallons will do if you would like to conserve all of the water I am able to create. As far as the food goes, I can summon it on any flat surface. We could do 2 bowls of about the same size. One can be contained with food, one can be contained with water. Or simply, yes, a large platter would be something that is viable for me to create the food on. And she's just going to kind of like real quick like wave her hand, and as she moves the weave, you see as she forms up a large pile of food on the ground and a massive ball of water into the air that just like splashes down into the ground. The food is bland. It does not taste good. It also doesn't taste bad, but it's nourishing. And that's kind of one of the biggest things that she'll recommend, that on some level, if you'd like to enjoy your food, you might want to bring food. But as far as simply surviving goes, that is enough to, what is that? That's enough to support um, basically 22 people across a day. And you could support 90 people indefinitely with that much food. No, my bad. It would be 45 people indefinitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially I think we could buy like mess kit type things. Because I think you can use those as like little bowls or platters. So
Yeah, the food is the thing that she's basically saying, I can summon that on anything. We don't necessarily have to have something to contain that. But containing the water will be an aspect.
okay, yeah. So maybe if we go buy like find a cooper or something, buy an empty barrel or a not like a trough, but like a something to contain the water. We can definitely do that.
Yeah, I think a barrel, 2 gold. So, with extra gold in mind, and with the idea that Island has 2 healers kits, have you thought about would you buy another one, or are you going to stick with one right now?
I mean, it's got 10 uses. I guess if we have the gold now, can't really. I might as well buy one more for myself. I'll have one, and then Island has 2.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth, I would also say it might be viable for him to give one of them to Valdez when you guys actually start to venture around. Um, that's one of those things. Like, it's extremely useful for the two of you, but it's also good for him as well. But I think that puts you all at what, like 109 gold spent of 136 for a barrel, a healer's kit, 2 canoes, 9 water skins. I mean, yeah, for what it's worth, you guys don't even really need to buy the water skins. Once you actually have that barrel filled, I don't think there's any reason. I feel like that kind of satisfies the big stuff as to what she's looking for, is that you guys are good. You are willing to partner with her, which gives her more of a potential to help people. You are willing to go to Mbala. I think that's viable, that she reveals herself and effectively like how good of a choice it is to go after her.
Yeah. I mean, I think Derek's thinking would still be, even though she says now it doesn't have to be the first thing we go to, he would still be willing to, especially once he's seen like her true form. He's kind of in awe a little bit. And it kind of fits with his desire to sort of do good too. And again, it's kind of, they can always circle back towards their initial idea afterwards. Again, if Valdis and is, if everyone else is good with that plan.
Yeah, Valdis is very happy with that plan. I can tell.
So yeah, I think at that point that probably determines what you all need to shop for. Um, I think on some level there's still a reason that it would be good to return to the Red Bazaar. But perhaps she will leave you all at that point. Unless you had any further questions for Eku, I think she would basically say something to the effect of, well, I think with what we require in the morning, if we have an early start whenever it is choice for you, we can head into the markets and start to procure what we will require, and we can set off as early as possible and begin our journey and see how far we can travel. I think we can probably make the mouth of the river by the end of tomorrow.
That sounds fine to me.
So the idea in general being that you can, again, this is what sucks about the actual hex crawl. They're kind of hard to see where they're colored in, but I think about 2 hexes will take you. Oh, I have to switch you up. I think 2 hexes will basically take you 1 hex, 2 hex, and then we'll make camp on one of the actual sides of the river. I think as far as things go, um, I don't think there's necessarily one way or another that is probably better. I think on some level she would suggest that staying on the northern side of the river Star may be safer, knowing that undead are at least a part of this kind of central between Star and Tariki. What is that? Tiriki?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think, yeah, Derek would, he'd go with what she suggests.
So yeah, if you guys don't have any further thoughts, um, again, I think more for the actual like finding your actual partners. It's better to have you guys basically return to the tavern. Um, Valdis, you would have 5 silver to stay in the room. But other than that, I think you guys are all set to take a long rest, and we'll pick up that next day.
Yep. Sounds good to me. Yeah. Another 5 silver for Jarek for the night, because I don't think he had paid yet. And then, yeah, at some point at that morning, before they go out to head supplies, is when his sidekick will show up, Zeros.
So yeah, I mean, unless you guys actually wanted to roleplay any part of meeting your sidekick, I am perfectly okay with us moving beyond that. Unless you all wanted to roleplay anything of actually going shopping, as far as I'm concerned, I think we are perfectly ready to actually start to leave and push forward into the actual expedition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything specific to role play. Probably the next morning, the only Jarek would have changed into the more sort of, I guess, Chulton or Port Nyanzaru style common clothes that he had picked up the earlier day. So they're like the kind of lighter clothing, but then still wearing his studded leather armor, I guess, over that. So I don't know how much difference that'll make, but I think it's just for flavor anyway. So yeah, I don't have anything specific to role play in the purchasing stuff.
Yeah, neither do I. So.
So yeah, let's see. So the next day will be a much more traditional, pretty horrendous downpour. And it basically goes on for most of the morning, from about like mid morning on through uh, probably like it sucks not using time. Effectively, like 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. It is effectively raining all morning. Um, that is effectively most of the actual sunlight hours. That it's just a torrential downpour. It goes to like a light rain around that. But again, in general, you guys are basically going to be soaked pretty much this entire day. Assuming that you're kind of all set and ready to go, it's probably right around when you guys are like getting in the canoes, the rain starts. By the time you set off is around when it's like just torrential downpour, and around when you get to the actual like mouth of the river, it's probably when it will start to quit. That sounds like canoeing to me in my own experience. But while you all are going, you more or less have a few choices here. Um, One of you can obviously lead the actual canoes. You can also have Eku obviously also lead the actual expedition. That is an option that you can take, kind of up to you how you go on that. But she can obviously guide you as well if you choose to go like otherwise. Um, and what speed do you want to travel? Do you want to try to just maintain a good pace? Are you trying to go fast? Are you trying to go slow?
I mean, I would say probably the just an average, medium pace. I think Jarek would probably let AQ lead. He might try and just sort of he's got some survival skills, but they're not. He's not sure how transferable they are to this sort of environment. Because he's not. He doesn't really have much firsthand experience with jungles, so he might try and like more kind of like Watcher, trying to like pick up what he can, like little, trying to essentially learn from her through just observation. But he would let her kind of take the lead in terms of guiding.
All right, sounds good enough to me. Let me have you still make a survival roll, but you can have a +7 to it. So whatever you roll, including your own survival proficiency, +7. So yeah, you all can continue across that day. You will make it to the actual inlet of. I'm always on the wrong map to say names. The
Social
river
Star.
Soshin Star, yeah. And then you all can basically see It's well after. It'll probably be still. What is that? That's 8 hours of travel. So if you left at like 9, that's going to put you in at about 6. No, wait, about 5. That sounds wrong. 9 to 5? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's probably about 5 p.m. that you all are getting in, and you can basically set up camp here. Oh, that's actually a random thing that we probably should have talked about, is if you guys actually want to get tents.
I would say Valdis would probably have wanted a tent. Think about it.
So I think a tent is 2 gold and sleeps 2 people. Yeah, 2 gold sleeps 2 people. So you guys need 4 tents in total.
Okay,
All right,
I
you
think we
need
have enough
3
of
though,
that.
because Island already has one.
Okay, and so that includes one for AQ, right?
Yeah, you guys basically have a 7-person expedition right now.
Right. Okay, so Island has one. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can 6 gold. I think we have that for the tents.
Did you guys actually end up with a total cost that you spent? I feel like I should probably actually be prepared to remove some gold from Island.
So I had it as it was 136 gold pieces we had available between the 3 of us. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so mine it's 100 gold for the canoes, 2 gold for the barrel, 5 gold for a healer's kit, 6 gold for the tent, 1 gold for um the last night's stay at the Thundering Lizard. 1 gold and 8 silver for the water skins if we were still buying those.
I think without the barrel, you don't really need the water skins. If you have the barrel, you can technically refill your water skins at need instead of having to like try to store a day's worth at a time. But obviously, if you guys wanted to purchase more water skins, that's still something you can do.
Okay, so I have it. If we don't buy the water skins with the stuff I said, we were down to 22 gold. I assume Valdis, you bought some more food, right, to get up to 10.
Oh right, I did that. Yeah, you should add that.
That again, though, is one of those things you don't necessarily need it. Once you guys invited her to join your party as an equal member, once you have food, like she can create food every day.
Yeah, we bought some like plates or D plates or something like that for the food to be summoned onto. What do we say that would cost?
Oh yeah, I think a mess kit is 5 silver, so we say we bought like another couple of those.
Yeah, I
These
mean,
essentially
45 pounds of food. The mess kits aren't going to be something like she summons it into a position. So, like, if you put mess kits down, you're just going to lose your mess kits underneath all of the food. You know what I mean? She could, like, fill up a barrel filled with food, basically.
Okay, so maybe we just buy essentially maybe like a barrel, but more of like a wider, longer, not as tall barrel sort of idea. Essentially, like spend another 2 gold for something to hold the food.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, you can just buy 2 barrels, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that brings us down to 20 gold left
All
between
right,
the three of us.
20 gold left. That would take at least one from Island. You guys basically want to have everybody be at like 6.5 gold. Does that sound good?
I mean, I took everything off of mine.
Yeah, that's part of what I mean. Like, if you had 20 gold left for the total, that means you've spent at least one of Island's. So he would have 20 gold and both of you would have nothing. Do you want to just do it that will take you all to an equal share and essentially have you all at 6.5 gold? Or like 6 gold, 6 silver kind of thing?
That's probably easier for, if somebody's missing for a session, we don't have to. Yeah, so if we split it up, that's probably easier.
Yeah, probably.
Might as well just do 6 gold, 7 silver for everybody. That is effectively, you guys are like right over 20 gold total.
Works for me.
So I think on some level, um, it might be viable not to actually have the tents included on your personage if it says that you are over carrying weight and it actually reduces your speed. I think at some point it's probably viable that we have the 2 canoes and the 4 tents just listed on the party loot list because those and like the barrels, you know what I mean? Things like that that are very much these are things that are always connected to the canoe. I feel like not having those on character sheets is where that stuff is most viable. But basically, this is kind of just your first night in the wilderness. You guys will obviously have issues getting bit by mosquitoes. It's not going to be extremely pleasant traveling, but in general, you just kind of have, like a crazy actual day's travel. You set up on the western edge there and have, a kind of go at camping. And when you get there, as far as things go, yeah, she'll summon water into one of the barrels. And there is enough to fill pretty much all of your actual water jugs. And it would probably leave about like a third of the barrel, I feel like, would be filled with water after you guys refilled all of your water skins. And then the food itself would probably be about half of the barrel. And you guys would consume, what, 14 pounds of it? So about 2/3 of it, just as like a big meal. And the rest, I feel like it actually disappears after. Yeah, it spoils after 24 hours. So more or less, like when you guys like fill up the barrel, you can have that as like, again, you don't really have to eat 2 pounds as your dinner, but you can basically eat your 2 pounds like your fill weight across the next 24 hours, and then the next evening she can summon it again. But around lunchtime, when you guys have kind of your last meal on that food, it would behoove you guys to basically clean the barrel before the food actually spoils, kind of thing. And that'll kind of give you at least a little bit of that rotation.
Okay, sounds good. And I suppose we probably want to set a watch for a watch order for the evening after we set up camp. So Jarek would offer to take the first watch.
Alice will offer to take the second, so.
And maybe since Island's not here, we just have Zeros and was it Taran? Your
Tarot.
have them keep watch the other 4 hours.
Yeah, on some level, they're not going to be terribly effective as far as watchkeepers goes, just because they don't necessarily have those abilities yet. They can kind of stay up with you guys, but in the long run, it's not going to be like that effective. Their point is to give you guys some extra abilities, not to basically allow you guys not to play the game as your normal characters.
Right, yeah. I was just trying to figure out how we cover 8 hours a watch with the two of us actually here. We assume Island would keep watch um, for 2 of those hours. Or maybe if we, between the three of us, if we put the first 2 hours after we set camp to rest, and then the last 6 hours, if we assume it might be more likely anything would happen later at night, we take those 6 hours and keep watch then.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be up to you guys. As far as things go, I don't see as why Eku couldn't necessarily take the fourth watch. And then I'd say each of you kind of watching with your actual sidekick, and we can kind of do something along those general lines. Um, but who wants to do the first?
Yeah, so Jarek can keep the first watch.
So let me have you do a perception, and you can essentially have advantage from your sidekick. Pretty uneventful watch. Nothing really seems to go down. And do another roll. Pretty uneventful as well. And then let me get 2 from you, Chris. You as well have a pretty uneventful watch. Just kind of hanging out. Nothing really seems to go down. Approaching the changing of the guards, Island is going to hear. Damn, this sucks because it is me creating an encounter and trying to decide what to do with him. I think for what it's worth, he's going to pretty much awaken you all as he hears the sound of shuffling feet in the woods about you.
The Jarek will, as he's getting shaken awake, he'll kind of leap up. He'll start grabbing for his, his weapons, which should be nearby, and he'll, um, be like, "What is it like?" Or does he hear now the sound as he is coming awake?
You could do perception. Yeah, so you more or less are hearing kind of the same sound as him as he kind of points off in western direction. And it just sounds like there is a shuffle of feet more or less moving towards you all at this point. It's essentially, I think, pretty certain for you all to pick up that there is undead moving towards you all.
And so Jarek's gonna turn toward Aku, because he essentially made him think of a question he forgot to ask before. Does your no killing policy extend to those that are already dead? It's just asking for
Again,
the rules of engagement.
this is one of those things. I don't think it would be absurd for you to have actually, as the player, like as the character, remembered to ask her that in the past. And 100% the undead are the plague on these lands. That is not the type of thing that you have to worry about. The undead will always attack and will always try to kill you, regardless of what good you try to do.
Okay. I just think of I don't know. I don't want to give away spoilers for Walking Dead, but thinking of Herschel and his whole thing with the barn. So
I think I watched like 5 of the seasons of The Undead or The Walking Dead, and there's like 19 more. You can't spoil anything for me. They ruined that show real bad.
yeah, I watched the first bunch of seasons and then I kind of fell off. But okay. Anyway, so um, Jarek is he'll draw his weapons. He'll look towards the west where he thinks he heard it, and he'll let Valdis know sort of the direction he thinks they might be coming from. And he'll start moving a little bit towards the perimeter and trying to see if he can get any visibility into the jungle, I guess.
So I've got Island and Killen on the map, northeast quadrant. If you guys can place yourselves there. Can't believe I never made an Eku token. That seems a mistake. So if you all can roll initiative for yourself, and then I think your character will just follow after you in initiative order. What kind of weapons does Jarek have on his person? Are you there, Justin?
Yeah, sorry. He's got a light crossbow, so he probably would have pulled that out. So that's what he'd be wielding right now. And then he's got, for melee weapons, he's got a scimitar and a short sword. And he's got a dagger too, but he doesn't really. That's kind of last resort type of thing. And I think he took the, yes, essentially instead of the javelins, he's got the light crossbow, and then he's got the same two martial.
Alrighty. I think what we are gonna go for here is. Oh, I have to do the actual enemies too. Alright, so one of these creatures is going to be running out of the edge of the woods into effectively, you guys have kind of just like the firelight of a fire that's giving you probably about like 10 feet of view right now. So everything is more or less like obscured beyond that kind of square from what you're working with right now. And it just kind of runs out of the darkness, and it is charging into. I think that is
That's Zeros next to him.
Zeros, yeah. And it's just kind of charging into Zeros. It is going to go to Island, who I think. What do you guys think he's going to do at this initial moment? Do you think he's using a spell slot to go big? Do you guys think he is using a cantrip? What do you think he's going to go for? Got 2 spell slots.
Does he recognize this creature, or what does it look like? Is it like?
As this creature kind of runs out of the darkness and into the actual light, you all have a moment to gather what it is, but you can basically pick up. It is certainly undead. It has flesh almost like dripping off of its body, as the flesh that still exists on its bones is like rotting and almost emulsifying. Its face and mouth are very much bloodied, like the jaws still exist, like holding the teeth together. And there's flesh hanging off of its face as well in a very similar way. As far as things go, I think we'll have each of you do um, like a religion or a kind of intelligence at the start of your turn to see if you are able to recognize it. But I think with that roll there, it's probably enough that I can have Island yell out that um, this is an undead ghoul. This is the type of creature that this is a ravenous undead. They're not. They're nothing with any sort of survival instinct. They are purely feed. That's all they think about is consuming flesh.
Okay. Yeah, I think he might, seeing it have kind of closed so quickly and it's coming at us, and assuming he knows like the dangers of ghouls, I'd say he might go ahead and use a spell slot kind of right away. I don't know what spells he has prepared.
Sounds good to you, Chris?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I want you to think about Larry. Do you think Larry's going to burn a spell slot?
Oh,
How he's played this character so far, what do you think he's going to do?
actually, I think he would probably spend just could go cantrip to begin with, at least.
So I actually agree with Chris. I think Larry's been pretty good about actually holding his spells for the fact of healing and keeping people alive as a cleric. So I think until he sees the full amount, he probably might actually wait. Do you guys kind of agree? Is that a pretty good assessment of how Larry's tended to play?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know he always played Burke as more of a kind of melee charging up in your face kind of cleric. So yeah, that makes sense.
So I think again I do concur that's kind of what I expect from him is that at very first here he's probably just going to Sacred Flame. So I'm gonna burn a Sacred and we'll see if the ghoul dodges. I think it needs an 11 to fail. Or 11 to succeed rather. I think it was a 10 to fail. +2 dexterity. It is going to be able to dodge as a font of light strikes down into the ground, right in front of Zeros. And it is going to go to.
Sorry. What about killing the Fergus, or is he going after?
What's that?
I was thinking about his.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, shit. Let me bring up that counter. Yeah, this is where the guys I think are way too powerful. Having a +6 at level 1 technically is absurd. So let's see. He can move forward and make a attack with it seems like it's a great sword. That is definitely a hit. And he can strike it for 10 damage. Let's see. So I think Aiku thinks she's gonna bless 3 of you. So I know we will do Valdis and Jarek. And I think for what it's worth, I'll just continue with that and put the Bless on Island as well. And that's going to go to Valdis. What would you like to do?
I would like to Vicious Mockery, the first ghoul we saw.
DC 13. It's going to have no effect. Oh no, never mind. My bad. Ghouls don't have any sort of wisdom at all. It's technically bloodied from. God damn! I should have listed your sidekicks' names on my little cheat sheet. Killing. Any action from you, or any bonus action?
Yeah, I'll give Bardic Inspiration to Yerrick.
And how about from your sidekick? What are you going to have him do?
Walk up and try to stab it. The same ghoul.
I feel like his plus is going to be enough. That 12 is a hit.
Yeah, it's a +6 on him too. Really? +6.
They're not designed to be level 1 characters. That's part of the problem.
And let's see, then that's 2d6 + 2, yeah. So 10 more damage.
So that will kill that ghoul.
Then I guess he will back up a little bit again.
Jarek, one is running up to you, and it's going to be on you.
Okay, so as this one, as seeing these things rushing forward and sort of closer than he thought at first, he's gonna drop his crossbow, draw an attack with his scimitar at the ghoul that's just come into his space while yelling, "Get behind me!" to the other, essentially to Zeros and Killen, and he will slash at the ghoul in front of him with his scimitar. Yeah, assuming that's a miss.
Roll a d4.
And you also have Bardic Inspiration if you want to roll a 1d6.
Do you want to use your Bardic Inspiration?
Yeah, I might as well.
The hit. So you can slash into it for 6 damage.
Okay, and I'm gonna hold my ground. That's my turn. And then Zeros, sort of hearing this and kind of not wanting to be close to these things, he's gonna back away,
And
assuming
it
he'll
will
take an
swipe at
opportunity
him.
attack. Yeah.
A big old miss.
Okay, and then as he backs away, he's going to launch an Eldritch Blast at it.
Same one that's on you.
Same. Sorry, yep, same one.
Should be a solid hit.
Yeah, sorry. Where did they actually show their plus to hit?
Oh yeah, it doesn't even say for him. It says like no information for the alienist. God, what is that? Let's see. I mean, he's got a +2. I've got to assume that everybody has +4 in their primary, so I'm gonna say he has the same, a +6. I think it's kind of funny that it doesn't actually say anything for the alienist, but that might just be a oversight almost from Matt Colville.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if there was another place I was supposed to be looking, so
Yeah, like if you bring up the cut purse or the swordmaster, each of those actually has everything for their signature attack actually delineated. And that's part of why that +6 has got to be. See, that's super weird because he's got 2 strength, but a +6 to attack. I don't know what Matt was going for. That's very
yeah.
weird to me. Normally, the plus to attack and the damage that it does subtracts your proficiency bonus. So it's like they have a +4 proficiency and then +2 in their primary ability. So it's like saying the cut purse has a +2 dexterity, but a +6 to attack. That seems kind of weird to me.
Yeah, because I think all of ours highest is only a +3 at most. Plus, then that would be
Yeah.
so it would be a +5 total with the proficiency bonus to hit. But
Yeah, I think on some level it might behoove me just to use these as a um, scaffold to create other guys from instead of, because that does seem really weird. That's a +4 proficiency for basically a 14 as their primary stat. That seems very weird. Because even the Swordmaster has the same thing. They've got a +2 to their damage, but a +6 to the actual attack. But yeah, I would
yeah,
say for now you basically have what is it? I think Eldritch Blast would be a +6 to hit, and then I think it's just a D10 damage.
sorry, I hit the wrong one.
That will leave that ghoul bloodied.
All right, and that's it for his turn.
All right, and that's going to take it to Island. What are y'all thinking here?
I think for now he would probably stick with a cantrip.
Yeah, either basic
They have
swing or a cantrip.
and they
So
haven't landed any real hits yet or anything, so
he'll go for the killing blow on the one on Jarek at this point. So realistically, before I actually roll it, I'm going to roll to see if there is even a damage. So this is the dexterity save. I think it's a 10 to fail. So it's a pass. I'm not even going to roll the actual flame attack. Oh, wait a second. No, he's got even better. He would do, it's still going to be able to pass it because they have a neutral wisdom. But he does have Toll the Dead. Once it's damaged, Toll the Dead's going to be the go-to. But again, DC 13, it's still a fail, so it doesn't have to be rolled. And then it's going to go to his Merc, who I think is actually going to step across. And he's going to slash to. Actually, I should ask you guys, what do you guys think Burke Larry would do? Do you think he's going for the kill, or do you think he's trying to apply? This guy does a lot of damage. If he hits, he can deal a lot. Do you think he's going to go for a fresh, or do you think he's going to go for a kill for action economy? And this is more, what do you think Larry has done in the past playing with him for, almost a year now?
I feel like we're not always the best at the focusing on the action economy. I'm trying to think like how he's actually played in the past, but I feel like he might attack a fresh one with the thinking that somebody else will finish off this other one.
I do not disagree with you. As soon as I said that, I was like, yeah, I don't feel like they actually do that all that often.
Yeah,
You
no.
tell us every combat, but it just doesn't stick in our heads.
Action economy is everything that I think about.
Unless oh no, because I don't know if he's a rogue if he gets sneak attack, but he'd have that on the fresh one anyway, so never mind. Yeah, I think he would go for the one right next to him.
So I think what we'll do there is he'll attack the one that just kind of circled around and is now behind him. So that is a solid strike. And it's going to do 10 damage. And that will take it to the ghoul in front of him, who's going to strike out at him. I think they have a +4. No, that's no way. He's got massive AC actually on that guy. So it's going to go to Eku. Oh wait, did I skip over Island himself? No, he cast the spell. That's what it was. The bless was a poor choice actually for Island, perhaps. I think she is going to provide the help action for Yarick. So you can gain advantage with Yarick. And it will go to Valdis.
Yeah, Val's gonna step up and try to stab the ghoul next to Yarrick.
Solid hit for 9 damage. That's going to be a kill.
And then that's gonna be it for Valdis.
What are you going to do with Terran?
Terran is gonna step up between the ghoul and Ceros and try to stab it.
Big ol' miss.
And that's the end of his turn.
That ghoul is dead. It will go to Jarek.
Okay, so Jarek's going to move up to this ghoul, kind of trying to surround it, and as he's coming forward, he's going to draw his short sword. His crossbow's on the ground behind him now. He's going to slash out first with his rapier, scimitar.
So you have advantage on that. Solid strike. 9 damage will bloody that one.
And I took the 2-weapon fighting, so I do get the modifier on my second weapon attack.
I do not think a scimitar is light, so you're going to need to switch out of the scimitar. You can take that short sword now, but you need to have 2 light weapons. Oh, wait. You took
Scimitar actually is light. I didn't think it was either, but then
Your fighting style is 2-weapon fighting?
yes.
Yeah, so that second one will hit. That is enough to kill.
Yeah, I never thought a scimitar was considered light either, but I think it actually, at least in
Yeah,
the
finesse light.
PHB, it is. Yeah.
It's just stupid expensive. That's what it is. There's no actual reason to take that over a short sword.
Yeah, I mean, I can make it just 2 short swords.
No, you're fine. One of the that's just me saying why I would never even count a scimitar is because it serves no purpose other than switching to slashing, and there's like one creature in the entire game that actually cares about what kind of damage you're doing. What is Zeros doing?
So Zeros, I think this one's just is dead. I don't think he can see this one, or he try to like peer in and try and catch sight of it, even though it's obscured.
Yeah, effectively, the actual obscured trait is going to be effectively like kind of cover kind of thing. So you can still take a shot at it. It's just not lit up.
Okay. Yeah, so he would just launch an Eldritch Blast at the remaining ghoul that he can see.
So 14, yep, that'll do another 7.
And he would probably just back up another 5 feet, and that would be him.
Alrighty. So let's see. Another one is going to charge into killing. Big ol' miss. Let's see. I think it's suboptimal. This is part of what I love doing most. But I think that at this point, Island is actually going to light up this area for you all. So I think as he is going to probably cast light on Jarek at that point, I think sounds good to me. And more or less give you all that is your bright light, full visibility. And then he is going to try to cut down the remaining ghoul. Solid hit. Doing 9. Shit, did I apply all the damage? Was that ghoul fresh when you... No, you killed the ghoul in front of you, like north of Jarek, right?
Yes, and then Zeros hit the one to hit to the left of killing.
And he did the 7.
Yes. Yeah.
So 16 total. Let's see. Yeah, that's 7. That looks like I applied it. That creature is what is that? That's just normal bloodied condition at that point. But he's missing 16. I feel like that's got to be the 7 from Zeros and then 9 from Killen. I don't think I missed the damage, but I might have if you guys happen to notice.
That sounds right.
I've not gotten a hit on any of you, though, right? At this point, none of you have been hit?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, none so far.
So I guess this one is going to strike out at Killin. 16 is not enough to get a hit. The other one... it's not smart enough to do that. It's going to charge forward and strike out at Terran with a 9. Should be a big ol' miss. And it'll go to Eku. I think, again, Eku is probably going to give the help action to Jarek. And it's going to go to Valdis.
That's gonna step over one goal and try to hit the blooded one with his rapier.
Solid hit, deal a 9. That should be a kill.
That's the end for him then, and then Terran is gonna try to stab the one that just attacked him.
Solid hit.
For 5. And then that's gonna be the end of his turn.
And that will go to Jarek.
Okay, so seeing this this other ghoul coming near Zeros, he's going to try to move to interpose himself, and he is going to stab out at the ghoul.
The first one would be at advantage. Both of those will hit. Oh yeah, plus you got bless anyway, so yeah. Both of those are able to hit.
Okay, that'll be it for that'd be it for him. He's gonna stand his ground there. Zeros, seeing this, would kind of he would back up again and launch an Eldritch Blast at the same one that I just attacked.
Uh, 15's a hit for 6 more. That's going to be severely bloodied, but it is still alive.
Okay, and that's it for them.
Corpses are the bane of my existence. So let's see. The last 2. Oh shit! I should have had those decked before. My bad. So one is going to charge up and swipe at Jarek. 19 should hit.
Yep.
It's going to do 8 slashing damage to you, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, and you can add your plus 1d4 to this. That's a pass.
But that leaves me bloodied.
Another one is going to rush up and do the same as it leaps to you. 15 to hit.
Yep, that's my AC.
And it's going to do 7 more slashing.
Yep, I'm down. Jarek's down.
Do a DC 10 Constitution still though. And you're gonna be paralyzed when you get up anyways.
Yep, well, that's not going to help.
So what were you holding? Because you will drop your swords. Both of those swords will get dropped.
Yep.
So let's see. What did I skip there? So that'll go to Jarek. It's gonna go to top of the order, Ghoul on killing.
Oh, so if those two actually were supposed to move before Jarek, do you want to take the damage off of the...
As far as I'm concerned, I'm just gonna let that go, and I'm going to have them act in the proper order in the future. I'm not actually. I'm not inclined to erase it like that.
Okay, I just didn't want to, take advantage or anything, so...
No, I mean it's in the long run, it's not a big deal to allow you to do some damage like that. So let's see, that's going to swipe into Killin. And let's see. I think they do a saving throw basically when they take damage. So I think I should have looked at this. I feel like it is modified by the damage. So 7 damage. So I think it is a 17 to remain up. All right, my computer's telling me I have the Swordmaster up somewhere on my screen, but I don't know. Why won't it show me this?
So he's got a he's proficient in con saves. I can see
Okay,
it on my
that's
screen.
exactly what I was looking for. If he's proficient in con saves, that means he's gonna save that death blow, basically. So he is good. He is not dead.
Damn, AC 18?
Yeah, it's absurd. Like, that's part of, as soon as I was like, yeah, let's rock these guys out. They're meant to be people that you access once your characters have actually like already taken a keep and then also defended it. You then have people come to you. They're not meant for like applying to characters low level. They're definitely people who are like already kind of heroes of the realm. But again, I've wanted to use these guys for the longest time. I was trying to convince, I think it was actually your group. No, it was another group before you to actually like take Trisendor Manor and make it their own, without saying it in as many words, because that's what I was hoping to do afterwards, was basically give them a keep and be like, now you have people coming to you. This is a completely different game than you would have been expecting. So
Okay.
he's going to stand from that attack. He'll do another save to try to remain unparalyzed, which he is good. And then it is going to go to Valdis.
I'm sorry. Did we skip Aiden? Or did I just miss it?
Wait, what happened?
Did we skip Aiden and
Oh, yeah, my bad. I'm actually way behind on the actual list. That was actually that guy who just attacked. And then it's Aelin. So take 7 hit points on Jarek.
Okay, but he's still paralyzed, right?
Yep. And then Killen is going to move over and try to deal the death blow to that last one. Solid hit. It's an auto kill for And then it's going to go to Eku. And it always feels weird when I'm doing it to myself, but she is going to run over to Jarek and cast Lesser Restoration on you. You are no longer paralyzed. And it's going to go to Valdis.
He's gonna use Bane.
So let's see, just the first one is going to fail. I feel like a bleeding eye sounds like a good Bane. Any bonus action from you?
No. Good there. I'm just gonna move a bit.
And how about from Terran?
Terran is gonna hit the ghoul with Bane. Swing and a miss.
Big ol' miss. And then it's going to be those two ghouls, and both of them are going to continue to attack Jarek on the ground. These will be at advantage, but he is no longer unconscious, so they are not auto crits. So a 21 to hit. It's going to do 4 slashing damage, and then I need a con save from you. DC 10, so you are good. And then the second one is going to attack you. It is going to crit. And it will do... Oh, shit. 13 damage? How many hit points do you have right now, and what's your total
That
hit
is
points?
just one more and I'd be dead. I've got 3 left and I've got a max of 11.
Oh, yeah. No, if you had 3 left, then you're good. It needs to deal... Oh, yeah, I got you. 14 damage because it's a +2. Yep, that's definitely super close. So you are definitely unconscious again. Do another Constitution save. Excellent. Oh, I should have rolled a check. When is that one coming up? That one might have actually gone to you. Like, trying to display, these things will feeding frenzy. Once they smell blood, they're not going to think about what they were attacking. They go for blood. And I think I kind of messed up with that on the one that I think it still struck out at killing, but so it's going to go to you, Jarek. You are back unconscious, so a death saving throw. Solid save. And how about from Zeros?
Xeros, he will Eldritch Blast the one right north of him, the closest one to him.
Gotcha. So solid hit, doing 3 damage.
And I think he will back away some more, and that will be it for him.
So this one is going to run over, and it is going to try to bite into Yark. And it's gonna miss. That was a damn near a killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's gonna go to Island. I think he's gonna do the same. He'll cure wounds you again. Take 7 more hit points. So still prone, still on the ground, still blessed. It's gonna go to Eku. I think she's gonna sanctuary you. – Did I mention you guys picked the right ally?
As soon as like she turned into Coatl, and it was like, oh, okay, yep. And then like the food and water and everything, it's like, yeah, we definitely. Like
Yep.
I was paranoid. I thought the whole like when like her flyer said like she gives to charity, like she was gonna turn out to be the most evil one.
No, I think she realistically is about the only one who's not just out there to fuck you over at some point. On a side note of giving away information, the one that you guys had the really bad taste for, she's the other one who's a really good choice. The two of them are like the best choices out of all of the allies.
Oh, what
Um,
is Salida? Is
yeah,
the
yeah. Selena hates all of the other ones because they really are shitty people. So yeah, I think that's going to be her turn. She's going to sanctuary you, and it's going to go to Valdis.
Yeah, gonna step up to the rogue who just tried to take a bite out of Jarek. And try to stab it.
It's going to end up missing, as it's just like moving too quickly and leaps on top of him.
Oh,
Uh,
with Bliss.
yeah, even with Bless, you're 5 away from a hit. I think you guys
Okay.
know at this point they're AC 12.
Mm.
And then if you have a bonus, you can bonus. Otherwise, on to Terran.
Yeah, Terran's gonna try to stab the same one.
His is a hit. And do an 8.
And that's the end of that.
Alright, so now they're both going to still attack you, but wisdom save. I think her DC's 14, so it is good. So this is going to be a advantage attack at Yarrick. Still going to miss him. The next one, wisdom save, and it is not able to attack him. And that one's going to go at Eku. That is a hit. Damn, is it a hit though? I don't think that's a hit. Yeah, I think she's going to use. It's a weird one. I feel like she has lower AC in a human form, so that's going to be a hit. Going to do 8 damage to her, and then a con save, and then to maintain Constitution. So I think 11 is actually the DC. Yeah, so that con save is good. She's not paralyzed. And then to maintain, she's going to lose concentration though. So, oh shit, Bless is actually gone because she cast Sanctuary. And Sanctuary is going to drop. But then it's going to go to Yarrick on the ground, unconscious, or you are conscious. Your weapons are on the ground. At this point, I think your free action is that you can pick up one, but I don't think you can grab both.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, he's been knocked down, paralyzed, knocked down again. He's yeah, but he like scrambles to his feet, he grabs the scimitar, and he is going to, as he gains his feet, swing out at the ghoul that just right next to him on his right.
Solid hit.
And then I might as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and use my second win now.
Good choice. And then it will go to Zeros.
Yeah, and Zeros will attack the same one, the one right in front of him, or right above him.
That's a solid hit, full damage. That's going to leave that one bloodied.
And that will be his turn.
So you are standing. This ghoul is just going to have a normal attack, still going at Jarek. Oh, did you actually roll for how much your second wind was for? Okay, yeah, I see.
Yes.
It's a 9.
Yeah, I only needed 4 back, but I figured, well, with this crit, it might not matter. So
Right back down.
yeah.
Do another Constitution saving throw. I'm sorry about laughing about that, but it is kind of funny to me.
Oh no, it's fine. And he's the
Uh,
type of guy, just like part of his personality is like he really does. He's thrown himself at the enemies, and he doesn't. He's trying to protect everybody. He really doesn't care so much for himself. So that's why he's not trying to get away or.
Yeah, failing the Sanctuary throw sucks ass because that should have been a pretty badass spell for what ghouls are, because they only want to attack you. And then to fail it with a 1, that's kind of part of why I was laughing. So yeah, you are going back down. You are not paralyzed, but you are, again, weaponless, prone on the ground.
Sometimes the dice just want you to die.
So it is now back to Aelin. He does not have the ability to get you up, but he can use a healer's kit to bring you up to 1 health. So you can. Oh wait, no, he can do 4. What is it? It's It's like a D8.
I think it's
Plus your
1d6 plus 4 plus your
number of
maximum
hit
hit
dice.
dice.
So you guys are level 1, so it's plus 5, and then so it's a D6 plus 5, I think, to use the healer.
Yeah. Nice.
So I think that's actually an 11 because it does not include your number of hit dice. So you can take 11 hit points. I think that's back to full.
It is.
And then his sidekick. Let's see where he's thinking here. 12er. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think he's gonna break the combat and move over for the kill. So let's see. Swipe on him is a big old miss. His swipe for shit. And it's gonna go to Eku. I think she can reapply the sanctuary, and I think that's what she's gonna go for. Yeah, I've got 3 per day on sanctuary, so she's going to reapply sanctuary to you. And then it's to Valdis.
Yeah, Valus is gonna vicious mockery the blooded one.
It's gonna fail. It is severely bloodied.
See, and then it also has disadvantage on its next attack, I think. So disadvantage on next attack. And then Terran is gonna try to hit the ghoul like straight north of him.
Straight above him, you said?
Yeah, straight above him.
Gotcha. I think that's still a hit for him. Doing 12 damage.
That's right.
That one is bloodied.
And then that's the end of our turn.
All right, so wisdom. Bane is against saves, right?
I
Yeah.
believe so. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, so it has to make a wisdom saving throw. So roll a d4 here. Or you might not have to. No, it's going to fail anyways. So let's see. Who's it going for when it fails? I feel like it's going to leap for Eku because she's the only other one who's bleeding right now. So let's see as Killen swings at it, and you can also swing at it with Terran. Killen's got a crit, though. That's going to be bad for it. It's not surviving. It might. Roll for Killen. That's a fucking hit. Roll for damage. That's +2.
Yeah, that +2.
Add 33 hit points. 23 plus 6 plus 4 is 33. And then it's the next one. That one is still going for Yarrick. Wisdom save. Not gonna do it. And then attack on Eku. Big ol' miss. And it'll go to Yarrick.
Okay, so again, I'm going to stand
Pick up
up.
one sword.
Pick up.
Stand up.
Yeah, I'll pick up the short sword this time. And I will attack the one right next to me again.
Both of them are right next to you. You go into the right.
Oh, sorry, to the right of me. Yeah.
You are not blessed anymore, so that's going to be a miss.
Okay, so that's it for Jarek, and Zeros will attack Eldritch Blast, the same one right to the north.
Solid hit, and that will kill.
All right, and that's it for him.
The one remaining is the one that is still there. See if it can break through the sanctuary. It does. Normal attack on you. 16 hit.
Yep.
It's going to do 9 slashing to you and a Constitution save. You will be paralyzed. And that's going to go to Island. I think he's just cast it with a Sacred Flame. No, wait, not Sacred Flame. The other one, the Wisdom saving throw, the Toll the Bells. So this is a Wisdom saving throw, which is just a straight roll. 13 is a pass, so it's good, no damage. And then that's going to go to his backup. Is going to swing on it. I think Killen's going to get the kill right here. I think 7 or under is a kill, or 7 or over is a kill. 1 hit point. Oh, wait, no, it's got 3 hit points. Give me a moment to take this call. I think you guys are going to take the kills here because it's past this thing's turn.
Yeah, no problem.
I missed my mom's call anyway, so I told her 10 minutes because I thought this would be over by now. So that was Aelin. That was his backup. It's going to go to Eku. You got paralyzed there, right? She's going to lesser restoration you again. So it should be on to Valdez.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to stab it again.
Severely bloodied. You need a 12 to hit, 3 to kill. Bam. So I think with that, we will basically stop here. I think this was the 5th hour of your rest. Nobody really needed to take a short rest prior to this, but effectively, I think what we are going to start with is the thought of, are you all going to short rest and then try to long rest, or are you going to try to go into your long rest? But I think that's where we're going to pick up next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds fine to me.